I muttered, a truly ancient word, unchanged from the golden age of classical English, and hardly changed since the Hyperborean times when man was young and dragons ruled the earth. Hello and welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host Liam, aka Himvar, and today I'll be doing a spoiler-free review of Christopher Ruocchio's Kingdoms of Death. Kingdoms of Death is a 2022 novel by Christopher Ruocchio in Book 4 in the Sun Eater series. While this will contain no spoilers for the book, it will contain some spoilers for the first 3, and so if you have not read that, then I would recommend you stop now. And if you would like, you can go watch my reviews for those first 3 books. Those are also spoiler-free. So, just like the other stories, again, time has jumped at the beginning of Kingdoms of Death. It's been nearly 100 years since the end of Demon in White. But like the last couple books, it starts with action, throwing you into the great and dread world of the galaxy at war, the empire of mankind versus the Cielsen, the Pale, the Xenobites or aliens that can match the might of humanity and even overcome it. Though this time the action is even more immediate and intense, the clock is ticking. A planned assault depending on the success of a small strike force led by Hadrian, and also with Krim and Paulino present, and others are going in stealthily. Personally, this was my favorite opening, though Demon in White had a rather great one too. At this point, if it was not evident in the last book, it is definitely evident now that Hadrian is no longer a child, but a man of some 300 years. We still get the memories of Gibson from time to time, his father popping up in his memory as well, and of course Cat, and, well, everyone after that too. The other books have had their dark moments, and moments of terror and lost hope. Darkness really creeps its way in Kingdom of Death in the first quarter, and by the first third, it's done and settled. But it only gets darker. It's rather dark overall, though that's not to say there aren't moments of adrenaline and triumph and peace even. There are still plenty of surprises here. I'd guess one thing would happen and something else would happen instead. Being darker, we experience more beings of that darkness, both Viking and alien, unknowable. People die that you wish wouldn't. Life becomes pain. This is the darkest of the Sun Eater books by far. It's fraught with scary things, but remember, fear is poison. Hadrian uses his superpower to survive in this, of course, that being his ability that deals with time that he got from the Quiet and Demon in White. And of course, he doesn't just help himself, he uses it to help others too. This helping of others directly with his personal type of the Claw the Concealer made Hadrian more of the figure of the chosen or savior in my eyes. All the imagery has been there for a while, his return from death, his stopping of the High Matter Blade, his survival at Deira, but it's been hard to see such a human character as a new son or a messiah of sorts, because he is more relatable than the other. And Hadrian admits he is no conciliator. Like, directly, he actually says that. Of course, you can read this without reading into it too much. Hadrian is likely just in a similar state to many fantasy protagonists. Of course, we can ask ourselves some good questions from reading this, just like the first 3 books. Some questions I thought of while reading this were, what is home? What do we do in the face of entropy? What is pain? And how do we deal with death? What is truth? And this one's not a question, but man is not meant to be alone, and others keep us human. If you remember in Demon in White, Hadrian calls one of the Cielsen world ships a Kingdom of Death, and seeing that the title is Kingdoms of Death, we do get a decent amount of world building and more understanding on the Cielsen. Even more, I would say, than we did in Demon in White. But along those lines, we also see the Commonwealth really for the first time, which is essentially the futuristic version of 1984, which is to say it's a sad and drab dystopian place. This lends to another view of humanity that we've also explored deeply in this series. We've, explored alien thoughts, machine modification, vat-grown children in extended life. But what about humans with their thoughts restricted by Orwellian strictures? Are they human? Are they sane? The action in this book I also thought was more effective than it had been in the previous 2 books where I had some problems with it. I thought it flowed nicely and it was never too long, it was never unneeded, it was never unwanted. Now that's a personal thing for me, but that's just going in the review here, obviously. And it really kind of felt like, because of that, it really felt more like a Sword and Planet novel, which is something I can get behind, of course. Now, if you're like me, prepare yourself. You may cry. Now, I'm sure most of you aren't crybabies, but in the end, I did feel peace, so there is some light at the end of the tunnel. Which, honestly, the feeling of peace is not something I normally feel with a book, so Kingdoms of Death is a treasure, and as of right now, it's my favorite book of the year, and it's my favorite book in this fantastic series. Also, just an FYI, this book was originally longer, but had to be split because of paper shortages, so the 5th book, Ashes of Man, is the original 2nd part. Both were filled out and modified to stand on their own, of course, but I feel some may feel like the ending is rather abrupt, though I was personally perfectly fine with it. Anyways, I did get an e-arc of this from NetGalley, so I was able to read it early, which was really, really nice, as I started this the same night I had finished Demon in White. But have you read Kingdoms of Death yet? And do you plan on it? And let me know what you think as compared to the other Sun Eater novels. Anyways, it's been Liam with Liam's Lyceum. I'll catch you next time.